Hey friends, welcome back to 25 Sweetpeas and welcome to another video of me revamping a lighthouse illustration that I have done previously, and today I'm really excited because we are visiting the Gasparilla Island Lighthouse on my iPad, not the real one. That'd be really cool though. This lighthouse I did quite a while ago, so I was excited to revisit it and give it a revamp for Christmas. And obviously, today's decorations are not very realistic at all, and I do not believe, based upon the research that I've done, that this lighthouse actually decorates for Christmas. So this is definitely just a fun idea and not very realistic, but it's fun to illustrate and have fun with anyway. And the history behind this lighthouse is most interesting. So I mentioned in a few videos that I recently got a lighthouse book that tells you a little bit about the history of all the different lighthouses in the lovely state of Florida, and I will link that down in the description box below if you guys want to check it out. And the last lighthouse that I actually did this to wasn't in the book, and the history behind it was a little bit of a letdown. So I was really excited when I pulled this one up in the book and found out that the history is quite interesting, and I think other people will find it interesting as well. So let me read you a little bit about this lovely lighthouse from the book, and I will have it linked down below. So, the Gasparilla Island Lighthouse, formerly Boca Grande Entrance Rear Range Light, is one of only a handful of lighthouses that have had active services in 2 states. Dun, dun, dun. Who would have thought? This tower was originally built in 1881 to serve as the Delaware Breakwater Rear Range Lighthouse, north of Lewes, Delaware, and was known locally as the Green Hill Lighthouse, although no hill actually existed. So interesting. Who knew that this would have actually been somewhere else before it was in Florida? Really interesting. A nearly identical tower was built in 1877, and it still exists as the Liston Range Rear Light near Taylor's Bridge, Delaware. But the Delaware Breakwater Rear Range Lighthouse was originally painted black and then was changed to brown around 1980. It displayed a fixed white light from its third order Fresnel lens, uncommonly large for a range light, at a focal point of 108 feet. However, due to shoreline changes, this lighthouse was discontinued in 1918. In 1919, the 7th Lighthouse District in Florida notified the superintendent of the Delaware station that there was a need for the tower in Florida. However, funding for moving the lighthouse to Florida was not available until 1921. So the tower was dismantled with each part marked and numbered for easy reassembly and then shipped by railroad to Miami. And note here, in case you're wondering where this actually is located in Florida today, it is not near Miami. It is in Port Boca Grande, and it is on the Gulf side of Florida, kind of in the same area as Sanibel. So that may give you a good little marker for there. So it was transported to Miami. Again, funding problems delayed the reassembly of the lighthouse, but finally, in 1927, the Lighthouse Service erected the skeletal 105-foot tall rear range light on Gasparilla Island, about a mile from the can't speak, of the Port Boca Grande Lighthouse at the southern tip of the island. So, this lighthouse was in commission in Delaware, and then many years later in commission in the state of Florida, which is super cool. So, this lighthouse has had various different decommissioned times where it just wasn't working. So it was discontinued from 1918 to 1932, and then it was discontinued again in April of 2017 until February of 2019. Today, currently, it is in use in the state of Florida, and it has one white flash every 6 seconds. So it is definitely still being used today for navigation, and I just think the history of this whole thing is really cool. And I'm curious to know the information about the railroad at this time too, because if you're familiar with the St. Augustine area, everything is very Henry Flagler related. He built the railroad and did a lot of things throughout the whole state of Florida. So it'd be interesting to see if he had anything to do with the transportation of this getting from point A to point B and then to point C. But I have a feeling that was much before the time that this was moved, because this was moved in, what, 1919? No, it ended up being like 1932. So it'll be interesting to know. I am going to look that up, though, real quick and get back to you. Okay, I'm back. I just did a little bit of research, and it turns out that it would have been the same railroad that Henry Flagler did put into place in Florida. So he basically created the Florida East Coast Railway all the way to Key West, and it finished in 1912, just weeks after Flagler's 82nd birthday. Fun fact. So, yes, in fact, this would have been the railroad because this was done in the what I told you guys, like 1920s, 1930s. So, it definitely would have been the same railroad. So, that is kind of interesting how it's all connected. And if you are interested in like the history of Florida in general, and really just like history in general of the railroad, actually, there's going to be a lot of information on Henry Flagler, and if you ever visit St. Augustine, you will see his name all over the place along with Ponce de Leon, and you can actually go visit different buildings that he built, and I actually recently went to one of them, and it was very interesting. So kind of cool to see how all of this is connected, even though this lighthouse is placed on the other side of Florida on the Gulf side, and it is lovely. So I think that covers it for the history lesson in this bit. I will go ahead and link a page that I found this information on is the Flagler Museum, which is in Palm Beach, Florida. And I will link that website because there's a lot of interesting information about Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and then Flagler and Miami and the Keys. So it's all connected and it's really cool. And of course, I will also link the book that I was referencing because it's a really great book. It's called The Florida Lighthouse Trail, and it's got a little bit about all of the lighthouses that are ornamental. um, I've really been enjoying the book because it just has a lot of fun information, and I love illustrating lighthouses, as you all know by now. So I also wanted to let you know that I have decided that most all of these Christmas-fied lighthouses that will be available next year in a Christmas card collection. We're gonna have a collection of really fun Christmas lighthouses as cards. I think it'll be super fun. My mom actually really wanted the Sanibel one turned into a card, so I did go ahead and do that this year for her, and then it was also listed in the shop very last minute, so I didn't expect anybody to be able to really get it in time, but it's there, and next year they'll be fully available. And if you are a shop or you know a shop, let them know that these cards will be available for wholesale, and maybe you'll even see these in stores next year. I think that would be so cool. One of my goals is actually to get some of our lighthouse prints and cards and stickers and things into like the lighthouse gift shops. I think that would be so super fun and just really cool to kind of be a part of the lighthouse's history in some shape, way, or form. So I'm gonna speed up the end of this video so you guys can see the rest of the decorating. Like I said, I know this decorating part right here is not practical in any shape, way, or form because that would require like some major equipment to get that high and do that safely. The windows and the railing are not that far-fetched. Our St. Augustine Lighthouse, I was over there the other day, and the railing is covered in lights, and it is super lovely and nice. So, you know, not 100% unrealistic, and the windows are a bit realistic because whenever you actually go up a lighthouse, oftentimes the windows are open, so you get like this really nice fresh air as you're climbing hundreds of stairs. So I could easily see it being done, you know, hanging a wreath or adding some lights. So I think that is officially it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. There may or may not be another video in it this week. I'm not 100% sure. Our Christmas festivities are going to be starting soon as everyone arrives, and I am looking forward to that. So I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye!